Prologue. Bedtime for May. Tip sat in the rocker and held his baby sister in his arms. She looked up at him with big round eyes from beneath her blanket of brushed lint and made wee gurgling noises. "You see, May?" Tip asked. "I'm not so bad. And soon you'll be bigger like me, and you'll be able to talk and run, and we'll go on adventures together. You'll see. It will be splendid. There's so much I want to teach you, little sister." May began to cry, her voice high and squeaky, and Tip began to rock faster. "No, little sister, it's okay," he said. His parents were just outside in the garden, but Tip did not want to call for help. After all, he was nearly fully grown and was surely capable of taking care of a baby. But May did not share his confidence and began to bawl all the louder. "How about a story?" Tip asked. "You like stories, don't you? Let's see, I've already told you about Prince Colin and his friends defeating the evil Venestra, and I told you about how they later thwarted Glorm. So next would come the tale of the Great Migration, and how Colin and his friends ventured into the Downwood for the first time. Oh, the Downwood was very different back then, ma'am. There were all sorts of terrifying nasties lurking in those trees, and some of the folks who lived there weren't so nice either. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start at the beginning." May's crying stopped all at once, and she looked up at her big brother with curious eyes. Tip could not tell if she understood him, or was merely comforted by his voice, but it did not matter, and so he told the story just as he had heard it many years ago. There once was a brave mouse ranger named Lily, and she lived with her mother in the cozy town known as Barksburg. Barksburg was a charming place, nestled in the heart of an old oak tree that grew in a courtyard near an ancient castle full of humans. The citizens of Barksburg were good and kind, and Lily's mother, Lanera, was the mayor. But one day, the humans of the castle were attacked by an evil sorceress, and the prince of the castle and his loyal retainers could only escape by turning themselves into mice. They were a goodly bunch, but rather new at being mice, and so the citizens of Barksburg adopted them. The prince was named Colin, and his friends were Maginot, Tilda, Filch, and Nez. But soon the darkness in the castle threatened even the old oak tree. And so Lily joined Colin and his friends, and together they defeated the sorceress. But defeating her was not easy, and the castle was left burnt out and hollow. And in the wake of all of that destruction was born a new foe, an evil neckwormancer, who wanted to hurt Colin, the prince's friends, and the people of Barksburg. But with the new enemies came new friends, and Lily and the company met the wild mystic Nere, who offered to help them. Together these 7 heroes battled the neckwormancer and defeated him, yet their success was not cheaply won. For before he was defeated, their enemy succeeded in poisoning the old oak tree. The days passed, the ancient castle sat empty, and Barksburg prospered, yet none could ignore the old oak tree was dying. Its color began to drain away, and its leaves started to die one by one. When the last leaves finally fell, the citizens beheld the tree's final gift, a golden acorn, the last nut of their beloved tree, hanging from the highest branches. Now all mice knew that a tree's last nut carries within its nature's greatest gift, the promise of life renewed. And so the citizens sought to recover the nut, though in the end they found it too high to reach. But brave Lily knew that without the nut, her people would be in grave danger, and so she refused to yield, and though her muscles ached, though the heights she reached were dizzying, and though the wind whipped her around in the upper branches, she preserved and claimed the nut for Barksburg. The responsibility of what came next fell upon Lanera. The mayor consulted with the prominent mice of Barksburg, and together they reached one conclusion: the priceless nut should be used to barter for a new home. Lanera employed countless scholars and scribes, and together they determined the exact specifications for the kind of tree the town needed to move to. Lanera also summoned the enigmatic scout named Jacoby. Jacoby was a gecko who knew the dark, mysterious neighborhood known as the Downwood, as well as anyone alive. Jacoby's task was simple: lead a contingent of Barksburg's bravest warriors through the perils of the Downwood, and bring them safely to the town of the Headfall Hollow that lay near the center of the forest. The sheriff there was a greedy squirrel, and the brave heroes would offer him the Barksburg nut in exchange for the location of a suitable tree. Jacoby did not like this task, nor did he enjoy the prospect of traveling with such a large group, but Lanera invoked the secret bond Jacoby shared with her daughter Lily, and so the gecko relented and promised to lead the expedition. There was nothing left to do. Lanera called for the heroes of Barksburg to hold council with her, and thus the Great Migration was started. "The journey will be difficult," Lanera said. The aging mayor of Barksburg stood at the head of the table, gazing down at the linen map that lay in an unfurled heap upon it. She looked up at Colin and twitched her white nose. "The Downwood is filled with many dangers of our kind. We have been lucky to lead such sheltered lives thus far. Those mice who have returned to us from the Downwood have brought with them stories filled with terror." Colin nodded in understanding, but Lanera saw the determination in the boy's face. Hardly a boy now, she thought. The first step, she continued, will be reaching a small yet bustling trade settlement called Headfall Hollow. At this, Lanera's daughter Lily groaned. Ugh. Headfall is run by a squirrel named McReady, Lily said to the others. He's a selfish rodent, to be sure. He makes the townsfolk there call him sheriff, but he's only interested in lining his own cheeks. True, said Lanera, but we need McReady. His knowledge of the area is superior to anyone I know of. We shall offer the Barksburg nut as payment. I understand such nuts have sold at very high prices in that neighborhood. She looked over at the perfect acorn that sat upon a nest of yellow straw. Seems a shame to trade a treasure such as that to a greedy squirrel, said Nez, shifting his burly frame in his squeaking chair. I could always steal it back, sneered Filch. You will not, snapped Tilda. The repercussions could be terrible. The trade is fair, said Nanny. It is life for life. Sure it is, said Nez. Don't matter anyway. Old Fitch here couldn't pinch a penny in his own pocket without getting caught. Lanera held up a paw for silence and said, Concern yourselves with getting safely to Headfall Hollow. With Barksburg dying, the only cost we should find too high is the deaths of family and friends. We will take care, my lady, says Maginot. I promise it. Good, said the mayor. Let me introduce you to your guide in the Downwood. Please welcome Jacoby. Who? Asked Nez, and a cloaked figure stepped out of a shadowy corner in the room, causing everyone but Lanera to jump in surprise. Saw him the whole time, muttered Filch with embarrassment. As the figure uncloaked, they saw he was a shiny green gecko, and he bowed low before them. A tiny doodlebug rolled around excitedly by his feet. Lily grinned at the gecko's entrance and said, Hello again, Jacoby. I have paid Jacoby's fees, said Lanera. Use him well, heed his counsel, he knows the terrain you will be in, and more importantly, he knows how to survive. Thank you for joining us, Jacoby, said Colin courteously. I have no doubt we will have great need of your service. It is settled then, said Lanera. You leave on the morrow. The town will follow you the morning after the moon is next full. It will give you time to find a tree, resolve any dangers that could threaten our colony, and if for any reason the way is not safe, you will need to send us a message. We'll get the job done, my lady, assured Colin. You have my word. Our objective for Chapter 1 is to find passage through the forest to the Headfall Hollow, deliver the last Barksburg nut to the Sheriff of Downwood. We have our victory condition, deliver the last Barksburg nut to the Sheriff who resides in Headfall Hollow. We're defeated if the hourglass marker reaches the chapter end marker space, or if all the mice have been captured at the same time. We have for our setup, place the chapter end marker on page 6, so we have essentially 5 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it hits 6, then we lose. We need to select 4 mice to be in the party for this chapter. Jacoby the Gecko must be one of the 4 chosen party members. The party cannot include Diddy the Shrew or Ansel as they've not been met yet. For our encounter deck setup, we have to build the encounter deck and shuffle and place all standard encounter cards face down into the encounter area on the story control board. And I have taken both from the regular Mice and Mystics as well as the Downwood expansion, shuffled those all together. We have our 4 tile set up. You're going to see though when we start playing, I'm only going to show you 2 tiles just because it's easier to record, and then we'll move through the tiles as we go. We'll place the tree overlay on the courtyard tile as shown, and then with the branch overlay extending onto the Thistle Ridge. We're going to place the 4 mice in where you can see that white symbol. That's going to notate where we start. And I have to choose a mouse to carry the nut and place a nut token under that mouse. I am going to choose Jacoby for right now. We'll see if that's good. I have to spawn 3 Froglodites and 2 Firebelly Newts on the tree branches and overlay minion entry spaces, just like normal. I'll show you that as we get to the board. We do need to remember that the tree overlay and branch overlay creates 1 continuous tile. So normally you're only at 1 tile at a time. Technically, you're going to see we're overlaying 2. Finally, I am going to place 1 leaf on stem A of the branch overlay, and you can see that over there. Now we have some special rules here. When you're transporting the Barksburg nut, to show that the mouse is carrying the nut, place a nut token on the mouse's card. On its turn, a mouse can use its action to transfer that nut from one mouse to another on the same or adjacent space. While carrying the nut, a mouse's battle is reduced by 1. The nut also takes up a paw slot in the mouse's character card. So someone like Nez, who I'm going to play with, he has a hammer. He can't carry it because it's a 2-handed weapon that he has. If a mouse is captured while carrying the nut, leave the nut on the space where the mouse is captured. Another mouse can use a free action to pick up the nut while sharing a space with it. Now you can see here, this shows you the tree and branch overlay. All those 2 symbols there are where the special search can be done. So essentially you can do the special search anywhere on the bark spaces. And then we do have a story moment. So if the mice defeat all the minions on the tree and branch overlay, then we get to read that story moment. Here we have our board all set up and ready to go. Now you're going to see all of these are painted. I did not paint this game. I was able to get a copy that was already painted. This is painted by Pauline, and then one of her friends, Patrick Den Driver, also painted these. They look absolutely gorgeous. I'll bring them up as close shots in a little bit. But you can see here I've set up the board. I've got the tree. So think of us as being above these tiles. So we're not actually on these tiles. We're on a tree that's above these tiles. It's really cool. We've got our 3 frogs here, and then our 2 fire newts. Up here we have our cheese wheel. Now this is an upgraded component also that I got from them, which is really cool because you can actually just flip it around like that, and then that's going to notate when it's full, and then you have the surge. Right now it's at empty. I have all of the encounter cards placed over here. Since we already know the enemies that are coming out for this round, we don't draw an encounter card for this tree encounter, but as we move off of the tree, we will draw our first encounter there. We have all of our search cards here. They also have a really cool 3D time hourglass here. I'm going to place here at page 1. We have our end token here at page 6. And then finally, what we need to do is we need to set up our initiative track. I'm playing with 4 mice, plus I have the initiatives of the 2 enemy types here. So what we're going to do is give them a shuffle like so. Just give them a good mess up. Okay. Then what we're going to do is flip them up. So we've got the Froglodites coming first, then that's going to be followed by Lily, then that's going to be followed by the Firebelly Newts, then we will have Colin, then we will have the Nez, and then finally we will have Jacoby. As we're playing the encounter, we will start with 1, go all the way down to 6, and then keep repeating these until we've defeated all of the enemies, and then we move to the next tile. Even though I'm playing this solo, I have to control 4 mice. So our first one here is Lily. Lily has a lessons learned ability. Lily is not affected by mouse traps. We have an explorer. When Lily enters a previously unexplored tile, she receives 2 cheese. You can use cheese either to level up, or you can use cheese to use your special ability, which I have chosen for her as aimed shot. She has 3 health. She starts with Lily's bow. You can see that here. Lily's bow just means that she can attack range. She'll roll 2 dice for her range attack. And you can see here her ability is when a minion defends against an attack from this bow, any cheese roll is actually added to her stash instead of going on to the minion wheel. Super nice. Aim shot is also awesome. She could choose aim shot because she is the archer type, so she can only choose archer type of ability cards. It says you may use this ability before making a ranged attack with this mouse. Add 1 die to this mouse's battle during that attack. Next, we have Colin over here. Colin has Born to Lead. When placing cards on the initiative track, if Colin is not the first one on the initiative spot, which he is not, he gains 1 cheese, which is why I grabbed this cheese token here. And yes, I'm playing with a lot of upgraded components, just so you know. He's got 2 items. He has Colin's sword. This just gives him +1 to his melee attack, so he'll attack for 3. And then he's got the leather breastplate. That's giving him +1 defense. So he's got 2 defense with 3 attack. I also gave him the Inspire action, or I should say ability. And you can see here he's a leader, so he can choose this. And of course, you've got to know he's my favorite. He has my name. He's just spelled wrong. It should only be 1 L, not 2. You may use this ability before taking a turn with this mouse. Until the end of this round, after a mouse performs an action, that mouse may spend 1 cheese to perform 1 additional action. A mouse can only perform 1 additional action this way, but a great way to get a couple extra actions if we needed to defeat an enemy or something like that. Next, we have Jacoby. Jacoby is lucky. Jacoby is immune to the cursed status effect. Really nice. That's something new from the Downwood Tales. And he has a detachable tail. At the beginning of any chapter, if Jacoby is a chosen member of the party, place his tail token on here once per game. If Jacoby gets captured, remove the tail, and then he's no longer captured. He has a leaf vest, and it says, when rolling defense against a ranged attack while on a tree or a tree branch, the bonus for this is +2 instead of +1. So he's got 1 armor here, +1, which is there. Sometimes that'll be +2, like right now, where we are, that would be +2. He also has his boomerang here. Now this just tells us he can do a range attack, but it doesn't give any additional dice. And this one says, when attacking with this boomerang, if the target figure is not defeated by the first attack, make 1 additional attack against that figure using just 1 action die. Now remember, his first attack would normally be 2, but because he's holding the nut, his battle attack is reduced by 1. I also gave him first aid because I feel like someone needs to have first aid. You may use this ability as a free action. Remove one wound marker from a mouse that is on the same space as this mouse. Healers will pay 1 less cheese, and you can only use this once per turn. The only kicker is he's not a healer, so it's going to cost him 2 cheese. Finally, we have my character. Not really. I just like Nez. Nez cannot be stunned or webbed. He just can't. He's too big. He has his hammer. Look at that. He has 4 health. Nez's hammer gives +2, and he has 2 here, so he's going to roll 4 dice when he attacks. However, when attacking a figure with this hammer, if that figure is in the same space as his mouse, it only adds +1 instead of +2 because he needs to be able to swing that hammer. Takes both paws, so he can't have something else in his hand. I also gave him Battle Squeak. Once again, it's a warrior, so he can do that. You may use this ability at any time during this mouse's turn until the end of the turn. Whenever this mouse makes a melee attack, add 1 to its battle during that attack. So he's just going to be a powerhouse taking out enemies. The biggest catch, though, is he's slow. He only has 1 movement. Just to show you, since I don't have a great way of showing you the detail, look at this is Colin. He looks pretty gosh darn awesome. Here we have Ned with his hammer, and you can see it's definitely using 2 paws to be able to hold it. Here we have Lily and her bow. I love her bow. And remember, with that aim shot, she can be pretty deadly at those range attacks. Finally, for our heroes, we have Jacoby. I love the gecko, and there's his tail. Unfortunately, with the mini, you can't take the tail off if he ever has to use that ability. But still, looks pretty awesome. Here we have the cute Froglodites, although they aren't so cute when you attack them. They've got a pain of an ability if you're attacking them melee. But I think they look awesome. And then finally, the fire newts. And she put some sort of gloss on him. You see how it reflects? Oh, it's so cool. So then they might potentially set us on fire. So hopefully we can take them out relatively quickly. With all of that set up, I think we're ready to start playing. Now, a couple things to note. First of all, I'm going to be playing with a few house rules that have been put onto the Mice and Mystics page on Board Game Geek. I have chosen the ones that I like the best, and I'm going to use them here. I'll mention it, and I'll mention what the real rule is. You can play whatever way you want, but I definitely like some of these house rules. I think it fixes a few things with the game. I mean, the game is from 2012, I believe. So, yeah, it helps with all of the gosh darn dice rolling. Second of all, I'm sure I'm going to make some mistakes, especially controlling 4 characters, so make sure to check the comments section. I will have, as I find that I've made errors, if I don't put it down here because I find out after I've done editing, you'll see it down there, and I'll make a timestamp and say, hey, this thing is supposed to be this way or whatever. So that way at least you guys know what's going on. All right, with that, let's start our encounter. The first character to activate are all the Froglodites. Now you can see here the Froglodites attack with 3 dice, and they attack melee, and they have 1 die for defense. You can see here there's no health on this card. That means if there's no health notated, they only have 1 health. They have a hop away ability. Before a standing Froglodite rolls to defend against a melee attack, first roll an action die. If one of these symbols, the asterisk symbols, is rolled, the attack totally misses. Move that Froglodite 2 spaces in the direction away from the nearest mouse if possible. That's really obnoxious, so I'm going to probably have my ranged characters try and take out the Froglodites. Now you can also see on here, this card has no movement amount. So what a lot of people have house ruled as, and I'm going to go with, is if any regular minion, you're going to always have a movement of 2. Any of the boss minions, you'll still roll a die to determine the amount of movement. The action dice have numbers on them between 1 and 3, so that can help you with movement for the bosses. But for all minions, minions can always move a total of 2 spaces. Minions will always try and target the closest hero, and then if there's a tie on that, you'll look at the initiative track, and whoever's higher up on the initiative track, they'll attack. Also, the game is very open on line of sight. You can make determinations on if things block line of sight, and with the trees, it's a challenge. I'm trying to think to myself, I'm going to say that these green things block line of sight. So if these ranged newt characters are going to try and attack us, they're going to have to, well, right now, get all the way to here to be able to see us, or get around to this spot to be able to see us. But that's also the same for us. We'd have to get all the way to here to be able to see them, because these essentially are going to block line of sight. And they say you can make that determination, so I'm going to. The other thing is, with the Downwood tails, there's not specific spaces. It's more just these different features that you can see. So I would call that a space, and that's all one space. That's a space. That's a space. So you just make those determinations as you're playing. So I had said all the frogs get a movement of 2. So we'll start over here. 1, 2. He's going to move 2. This one's going to move 1, 2, trying to get as close as they can to us. And this one's going to move 1 and 2, trying to get closer to us as well. Lily is next to go, and you can see here we have 4 characters in one space. The maximum amount of characters that you can have in one space is 4 of the small ones or 1 large one. So right now she does not have line of sight to this Froglodyte because you're going from center to center, but I would say from center to center she can see this Froglodyte. So during your turn you can do 2 things. You can move and do an action, you can do an action and you can move, or you can just do an action or just move. And one of the actions you can take is actually called a scurry, so you can move twice. Once again, when you did your movement normally in the game, you're supposed to roll an action die and add that to the value of your movement that's on your card. A really easy house rule you can do is just add 1 to whatever your movement is and go with that so you're not rolling dice a jillion times. So that's how I'm going to play it. So her movement is normally 2. Add +1 to that for normal. That's a movement of 3. However, looking at the board here, I don't think I'm going to have her move. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave her there and I'm going to have her attack this frog. Lily's attack value is 2, and I should also mention range does not have a distance. You can see as far as the eye can see and attack a range as long as you can see the enemy if you're not blocked by line of sight. So you don't have to worry about the range. She is looking for these symbols. If she gets more than one of those, 1 or more of them, then we're going to have to roll this die for that Froglodyte. The Froglodyte is looking for a shield symbol. If he rolls a shield symbol, he effectively blocks. We also have cheese. If we roll cheese, I'll show you what happens. So we're going to roll this. Beautiful. That's a beautiful attack. We're doing 1 point of damage, and we're going to get 1 piece of cheese. So I'll grab this cheese and I'll put it in her stash. After she gains up to 6 of that cheese, she can take a free action to level up if she'd like. So we're doing 1 point of damage. That Froglodyte has 1 armor, so he'll roll 1 die for defense. Awesome. You can see this is a sword. That's not having a shield on it. Since he rolled a sword, he didn't block. We just took out our first minion. As our team of heroes climbed up to the top of this tree, Lily loosed an arrow, took out this frog before he knew what was happening. Now, I'd love to have her do a search action, but she's already done an action. She can move. I'm going to leave her where she is for now. I don't want her to get in range of these Firebelly Newts. So the Firebelly Newts are next to go. They have a Flaming Arrow ability. When attacking, if 1 or more cheese is rolled, ignore one of those cheese and place an on-fire marker on the target mouse. Any additional cheese are added to the minion wheel as usual. So whenever you are, as a minion, attacking or defending, if they roll cheese, they're actually going to put it on that minion track, and if ever that gets full, we have our surge. However, for the Firebelly Newts, that's not going to happen. The first cheese, they're actually going to set us on fire with that. Ugh. These Firebelly Newts will both move 2 spaces forward, and remember, this is blocking line of sight, so they can't see us. That's at least how we're playing it. Also, another house rule that I'm going to play with. Normally, if a ranged minion can see a hero, no matter where they are, they could be even in the same space as them, they won't move and just attack. Seems a little bit silly to me. Instead, I'm always going to play that they will always try and move as far away as possible but still stay in line of sight of the heroes when they attack. So that way they'll try and disengage from if there's minions, or I should say heroes, that are melee trying to hit them. Makes them a little bit harder to defeat and also just a wee bit smarter. Next on our initiative track is Colin. And Colin is going to go and do his move action. He's going to move he's going to move 2 spaces. He's going to move 2 spaces to here, and then he's going to go ahead and do a melee attack against this Froglodyte. Now remember, before you melee attack one of those Froglodytes, you have to roll a die. Beautiful. We did not get an asterisk. If we'd gotten an asterisk, we would have just totally missed. Now what we get to do is we're going to roll 1 die for this, plus the 2 dice on our card, so our battle value is 3. We're rolling 3 dice, looking for as many swords as we can. We've got 1 cheese, so we're going to gain 1 cheese, and we're only doing 1 point of damage. Oh man, that's not great. He now has 2 cheese, and then that frog is going to roll 1 die for defense. Oh yes, he didn't do anything. He wasn't ready for Colin's sword. Colin takes him out. That's 2 frogs down for the count. So next to go will be Nez. Now Nez is slower than Molasses. All he's going to do, I'm actually thinking before doing anything, he's going to do a search. So when you do a search, you first want to see if you're in a space for a special search. And we are in a space for a special search, this bark. So now what we're going to do is just roll an action die. We're hoping for an asterisk symbol, and we got it. Look at that. Beautiful. So if we have an asterisk symbol, that means that we have successfully searched. Each of our mice can only search successfully 1 time per tile. And I'm assuming since this is spanning 2 tiles, it includes, well, the whole tree, I should say. Pauline made these really great tokens here, which I'm assuming are used to say, hey, I've already searched. So I'm going to put this onto Nez to remind myself I can't search with him again. Since he's in that special search spot, I'm going to go ahead and grab that special search card. The special search card is the Bark Shield, which is going to give him +1 defense, putting him up to a value of 2. When a mouse equipped with this shield would receive an on-fire status effect, you can discard the shield instead and do not place that marker. Pretty cool. But it does take a hand, and he already has this Hammer of 2 that's using both his paws, so he can't hold on to this. However, he can, if there's a mouse in the same space as him, give it to somebody. For his move then, he'll move a whopping 2 spaces, so he can move 1 and 2, and that should be good. Jacoby is last to go. His movement is 3. 3 plus the 1, because we're giving everyone a +1, because if you had rolled the dice, you'd get a minimum of a 1 on there, because there's a value 1, a value 2, and a value 3. So we're just giving you the minimum. So he can move a total of 4 spaces. He's going to go ahead and run over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now he can either search or attack. I think he only rolls 1 die, but I get to roll it twice because he has the boomerang. So I think he's going to chuck that boomerang over here at the Froglodyte, since the Froglodyte only rolls 1 die for defense. Normally, Jacoby would get to roll 2 dice, but he's carrying that nut, so he only gets to roll 1 die. So for the first attack, total miss. We don't have to roll for defense because this is a ranged attack. We need that symbol. Second attack, so as he threw that boomerang, totally missed the frog. Now it's coming back to him. Come on, hit him in the head. Hit him in the head! No, nothing. Total miss. We have now all activated 1 time. Let's go back to the top. We're going to start with the Froglodyte. So this Froglodyte is going to take 1 step into this space and is going to attack Jacoby. Jacoby has a defense of 1 and 1, so a total of 2 defense. If he was getting attacked by a ranged attack, he could get the +2 from this, but this is a melee attack from that frog. That frog hits kind of hard. 3 dice. Let's see. Oh, 2 hits. Okay, so we've got 2 hits coming in. Jacoby then will roll 2 dice for defense. He blocks 1. That means he takes his first point of damage. He only has 3 health, you guys. Lily is going to go next. She's going to move 1, 2, I don't know, 2, 3. I think this is all 1 space. I'm going to call it as 1 space. You can attack into one of these spaces. You can't attack past it. So she's going to go ahead and attack this frog. Lily will roll 2 dice for this attack. Oh, 2 hits. Well, it's not really going to matter what he rolls. He rolls this for defense. That frog is gone. So that's the 3rd frog. It's all removed. So now we'll remove that initiative card from the board. And now the only minions we have to deal with are those Firebelly Newts. However, now the Firebelly Newts are going to go. They're then going to take 2 steps back instead of staying as close to Jacoby and attack. Both of them are going to attack Jacoby, who already has 1 damage. Let's go ahead and roll 2 dice for the first attack, and oh no, he's going to be set on fire. So normally we'd put 1 cheese on the cheese wheel, but this is denoting that instead they essentially put him on fire. We'll figure out what that is in a second. Second attack, let's roll these up. Okay, no damage at all. However, he is on fire. Poor Jacoby is the only one that's wounded and on fire. So how on fire works is a mouse can only have 1 on fire marker on them at a time. A mouse that is on fire is in danger of being harmed unless it can put out the fire by ending its turn on water or using a recover action. You'll have to roll 1 action die plus 1 additional die for each other friendly mouse in the same space. If you roll at least 1 of the asterisk symbols, the mouse successfully has put out the fire and the on fire marker is removed. If an on-fire marker is on the mouse's card at the end of their turn, you're going to place 1 moon marker on its card. If it's raining, though, at any of the time, a mouse with an on-fire status marker does not have to roll a die when using a recovery action to remove that on-fire token. Colin is next to go, and he sees Jacoby here on fire, and we know it's more helpful the more mice that are in his space in order to get rid of that, unless we had water, which we don't. So he's going to move 1, 2, and simply end his movement here. He's then going to do a search. You got to help out your guide when you can, and we get 1. Awesome. So that means we get to draw a search card. We'll go ahead and flip over this top card, and we have Tail Link. Play this card instead of taking a battle action. If there's at least 1 other friendly mouse on the same space as this mouse, you can defeat 1 minion that's in this space. Whoa, Tail Link does not affect boss minions or large minions. Cool. Tricks are pretty great because they don't take up space in your backpack. You can hold 3 items in your backpack and have anything you need or want equipped. Tricks are just things that you can use anytime. So that's really awesome. Colin now knows the tail link, at least one time. We'd have to discard it to use it. I'm also going to place this token on Colin, stating that he cannot search on this tree, I'll say again. Nez is next to go, and he is a little bit brash. He's going to move 1, 2, and then he's going to scurry. When you scurry, that's an action to do an additional movement. So he'll get a movement of 2, because remember, his movement is 1 plus the 1. So he's going to move 1, 2, 1 space away from those fire newts. But that means they're going to target him when they attack. We're now going to move to Jacoby's turn, and for Jacoby's turn, we're going to do a recover action. That's where we're now roll dice equal to the amount of mice here. So he's considered a mouse, so that's 1 die, plus Colin, that's 2 dice. And if any of them get the asterisk symbol, we'll be able to remove the on fire status. Come on, Jacoby, you can get rid of this. Beautiful. I've got 2 of them there. So that means we'll remove the on fire status token, and he won't take damage at the end of his turn. Jacoby has done his action, but he can still do his move. He's going to move 1, and I think he's going to stay right there. He'll stay behind Nez, but then this way he can attack as well as maybe get onto this leaf. That is what our goal is to jump onto this leaf after we defeat all these minions. Lily is next to go. Lily's going to go ahead and move 1 space up to here. She can now see those fire newts. She's going to attack. She earned 1 cheese from before, so she's going to use that cheese to do an aim shot. You may use this ability before making a ranged attack with this mouse. Add 1 to this mouse battle during this attack, so she will roll 3 dice for this attack. 3 dice, looking for arrows. Let's see. Oh, all 3 arrows. That does not normally happen. That's 3 points of damage. They only have 1 health, but they roll 2 dice for defense, and they do get 1 piece of cheese. So even though they defended 1 of the hits, they still get hit by for 2 damage, so 1 of them will be eliminated. But because we have a cheese, we're going to put our first cheese on the cheese wheel. I will still totally take that. We'll remove this fire newt. We'll have to move this up by 1. And now next to go is this fire newt. He's just going to stay where he is. He can't move farther away, but he's going to attack Nez. Nez only has 1 die for defense, and he's going to roll 2 dice for his attack. We're hoping for no arrows or cheese. It's kind of a big hope. Okay, there's only 1 arrow. Let's see. Can Nez defend? He can't. He was going to take 1 point of damage, but he's also going to claim 1 cheese. I will take that. He can then use his battle squeak. Colin is next. He has 3 movement, so he'll move 1, 2, 3, moving into this space with the fire newt, and he'll go ahead and attack. He gets to roll 3 dice. Remember that they roll 2 dice in defense, and he's looking for swords here. Oh, he only got 1 sword, and they'll roll 2 dice for defense. Oh, that's amazing. I was totally expecting them to block that. So they did not. Colin just took out the final fire newt. I was really not expecting that. I was assuming Ned was going to have to take him out. That's awesome. Now, under the normal rules, whenever the last person goes and there's no enemies on this track, you need to place 1 cheese on the cheese wheel. Basically, it's forcing you to keep moving. One of the house rules that I like is that instead of it just being the last person on the track, whoever had the final turn that took out that final minion or enemy, I'm going to move a little bit to the side. That means at the end of Lily's turn, if we have not moved to the next tile, that would mean that we'd place another cheese on the cheese wheel. Feels much more fair because let's say Jacoby just happened to take out the last enemy and then immediately we have to place another cheese on the cheese wheel. I mean, that's stupid. It just should be whoever was last to actually do the activation. And I shouldn't say it's stupid, I just don't think it's fair, so that's the way I'm going to play. We do also have a story moment, given that we have defeated all the minions on the tree branch overlay. Froglodyte scouting party, I'd reckon, grunted Jacoby, as the last minion fell before the party's wrath. Stay sharp, you lot. There's sure to be more. He led them along a complex network of branches, zigging here and zagging there, and soon they found themselves walking out onto a branch that began to taper dangerously. The weight of their bodies made the branch bob, and Nez turned a little green in the face. Didn't know I need sea legs in a tree, he groaned. Filch chuckled behind him. Welcome to the Downwood, said Jacoby. You'll learn to love the trees for the safety they offer us, or you'll die. Simple as that. Charming, says Tilda. Whole place is a nightmare of froglodytes, fairies, fire-belly newts, not to mention your run-of-the-mill rats and roaches. And those are the easy critters. Heed my words, my fuzzy friends. You see a Mollux? You better run. You make it sound so lovely, said Lily, but Jacoby jerked up a knobby hand and everyone stopped and crouched low. The gecko placed a long, thin finger in his lips for silence, but the gesture was unnecessary. They huddled there in a wide-eyed fear and peered over the branch to spy what lay below them. Colin was amazed by the view. Below him stretched a verdant forest teeming with life and thick vegetation. Rays of light punctured the leafy canopy above and fell upon tiny bugs that fitted in and out of the golden light where it reached the ground. Everywhere he looked, Colin saw flowers and moss, fallen leaves and rocks, and it all seemed woefully impossible to traverse in this wee mousy body. Leaves rustled and twigs cracked, and just below their branch there passed a large straw hat that sat on an aging human's head. "The Famir," hissed Jacoby. "One of the Titans. Dangerous and malevolent. If he catches you in the open, he'll chop you up as sure it can be." "He's just a farmer," said Colin. "A human." "Call them what you like, City Mouse," Jacoby said, dismissing it with a wave of his hand. "They're horrible beasts. They burn down the green they don't like so they can grow the green they do." The gecko spat in the human's direction. "It's all about them, it is. They don't see the world inside the world." Well, now that I feel a little bit bad for being someone similar to that farmer, I'm sure, we're going to move down to Nez's turn. Nez is simply going to move 1, 2 to get onto this leaf. Then we're going to move to Jacoby. Jacoby will also move to the leaf, but he has not searched yet on this tile, so let's go ahead and have him search. We'll give his die a roll, and no. See, there's no asterisk on this one, so we failed to find anything. Next, it's Lily's turn. She'll go ahead and move over here, and then she also has not searched, so she will search. But then after her turn, because unfortunately, that's why I actually didn't want Colin to kill those guys. I didn't think he had a chance. We're going to have to add one more cheese to the minion wheel because we will go to his turn and we will not have moved off of the branches where there are no minions. So now we have 2 here. When we get a total of 6, we'll have a surge. But let's first roll for our search here, and then 1, 2, 3, we'll move Colin onto the leaf as well. Here's hoping for an asterisk, and we get one. Sweet. Let's go ahead and flip her search card, and she gets the teaspoon paddle. So this is a party item. We get to keep this till the end of this chapter. This item can be used to pilot a leaf boat. See the page of the Downwood Tale storybook for rules on how to use the teaspoon paddle. Cool. If we can do that, we'll do it. And of course, I'm going to place this token on her to denote we have searched with her so I don't forget. When all the mice are gathered on the leaf and a mouse uses an explore action, so we're going to say Colin is using an explore action here. One at a time, each of the mice hopped to the leathery leaf and grabbed hold with both their front and back paws. All except Nez, who refused to leave the branch. "No, no, no," he growled. "You'll be serving ice cream at the forge before I get aboard that flimsy barnacle." But Notch crawled behind Nez's feet, and Jacoby pretended to bump into the overlarge mouse. "Watch it," snarled the tinkerer, but he fell over Notch. Only by grabbing hold of the leaf did he save himself from plummeting from the branch. In a flash, Jacoby leapt onto the leaf, and in the same fluid motion swung a small knife around to cut the stem straight through. The leaf dropped, and the mice began to fall. "Hold on to your knickers, ladies!" the gecko screamed. "Woo-hoo!" Nez screamed too, but it was far less jovial, and the sounds of his fright rang out into the forest as the leaf fell. I'm so glad we have Nez in our group. That's awesome. Now remove the branch overlay, but leave the leaf on the board with the mice on top of it. Center the leaf with the mice on the space it mostly occupies, and turn it to the point at any of the 3 minion entry spaces on the Thistle ridge. Roll an action die and move the leaf with the mice that many spaces towards the chosen minion entry space, using the shortest route possible, and ignoring any red or yellow lines or any other intervening terrain. This is where the leaf lands. Continue to follow the section Thistle Ridge. So Jacoby cuts the leaf. The tree branch is no more, and now I'm going to move this and center it to this spot. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can get to the upper, or we can maybe go, I don't know. I actually don't have any idea if it's better to be on this side or this side. Just so you know, you can see this red line here. What that red line means is that these two are not connected. We can't move up to here. So think of this as a higher space, and this is a lower space. I think I'm going to go and aim myself this way. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. No, I never get up there then. I think the only way we would get up there is if I aimed this way and went 1, 2, 3. We can maybe get up to here. Let's roll our die, and we get a total movement of 1. And you can see that on the die right here. For example, this one has a 3 there. They're kind of small. But yeah, it's also considered a D3 because it's got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on the 6 sides. Probably because Ned weighs so much, we're only going to be able to move one space, right here, and this is where we're going to land. When the mice land on the Thistle Ridge, choose a player to read the following aloud. If the leaf landed on the upper level, read story moment A. If it landed on the lower level, which is what happened for us, read story moment B. The leaf bucked and spun upward on the breeze along with the stomachs of its passengers. "I'm gonna be sick," cried Tilda. "Nez beat you to it," said Nair calmly, looking back at the tinker. If Neri was upset by the ride, she was not showing it. Ahead of them, the rock wall that was Thistle Ridge rose to greet the leaf. "We're going to crash!" cried Lily. "I don't think so, lass," mused Jacoby. "Look!" Sure enough, the leaf instead began to circle round and softly drift downward. The leaf came to a stop atop a mossy ground that grew at the base of the ridge. The mice quickly staggered off the leaf with wobbly legs. Filch kissed the ground with everything he had. "Jacoby, you green-blooded half-wit! I'm gonna tear your tail off and slap you with it!" raged Nez, but Colin stepped forward and stopped his friend. "We're safe, Nez, and that's what matters. Look at that cave over there. I think we should explore it." But Nez had already turned away to get sick again. Now reveal an encounter card as usual, and place any new minions normally. The mice start in the space their leaf landed on. We have a special rule on how to leave the Thistle Ridge. All mice in your party must be on the same side of the red line that divides Thistle Ridge before any mouse can use an explore action to leave this tile. Mice on the upper level can leave by exploring the exit into Ticklemoore. If the mice are on the lower area, they can use the flip space and explore it into the lair. Note, because Jacoby is wild, the mice can traverse the Thistle Ridge using the yellow line with the gecko symbol at the edge of the ridge. This is a secret forest path known only to the wild creatures. We also have Nightfall, so there are some encounter cards that will say Nightfall, and then we have to read this effect. Let's go ahead and grab our encounter card, and we have a standard encounter card. You can see here for page 1, that's where we're still at, we're going to spawn 3 rats. That means I'm going to take the Rat Warriors initiative card and all of ours and place them out onto the initiative track. Well, that certainly was not too bad of a shuffle. Look at this. I got Jacoby, Nez, Colin, Lily, and then the Rat Warriors. Also, because Colin was not first, he gets to grab a cheese. That's his 3rd cheese. I just want you to see the stats for the Rat Warriors. They attack melee, they have 2 armor, they roll 2 dice. They also have aggressive. So after taking their turn with this Rat Warrior card, switch this card with the one directly above it on the initiative track. So they're slowly going to push themselves up. They're going to go more often than us, which is kind of cool. I like how they did that. I have spawned 2 Rat Warriors over here and 1 over here. I'm assuming that we wouldn't put any up here because they can't fly. They're not going to go over this red line. So it makes sense that they'd spawn in the lower area with us. They talked about flipping the tile. Right here you can see this flip icon. We can do an explore action here, but remember we can't have any minions on the board in order to do that. If we do that, we'll then flip over to the other side of this tile. And you better believe we're doing that. Over here is the yellow gecko icon, the wild symbol. So that means that if we had a wild individual in our party, which we do, Jacoby, that means we can actually sneak up here going through this way. If we didn't have Jacoby with us, we wouldn't be able to go up this. And just because I enjoy showing off these beautifully painted miniatures, here are the Rat Warriors. So what I've done is I've removed those search tokens as well. Everyone can research on this tile. The other thing is, we had a couple special search areas on this tile, and one of them just happens to be where we landed. It's right here. So we could search there if we wanted. And you know, with Jacoby, he only attacks with 1 die, but he does get 2 chances for it. But they roll 2 dice for defense. Yeah, so I don't think he's even going to attack. For his turn, he's just going to try and do the search here. Last time he failed pretty bad at that, and this time he does too. He didn't find anything. God, you know, you'd think he'd be good at that, but whatever. Okay, he could move. I don't think he's going to move. He's going to stay where he's at. Nez is next. The first thing he's going to do is try and search here as well. Let's see if he can show up Jacoby. He totally did. Jacoby may be better in the wild, but he's better at searching. This is a pretty awesome weapon, Pick Hammer. When this weapon is equipped, the mouse can move across red lines at a cost of 3 space of movement, which is sweet. Has to be a healer, a warrior, or a tinker. Now, our hands are full, so we're going to have to put this in our backpack. We already have 1 card, but because we're in the same space as all of the mice, we can do a free action and trade one of these. We're going to share this bark shield with Colin. Colin has 2 paws. Right now, his sword is having 1 paw, and his leather breastplate is on his body, so he can have the shield for +1 defense. We're going to hold on to the pick hammer and maybe give it to someone later. Ned's movement of 2 is turning out to be a real bummer. We're going to move him 1, 2 right here. Next to go will be Colin. Colin has a total of 3 movement. He's going to move 1. Let's see. Is there a way for him to get over there? 1, 2, 3. No, he can't get over there either. What am I saying? Yes, I can. I believe I can move here. So how movement works is as long as your base can hit either side of the spaces, it's considered adjacent. So we're going to move 1. Then we can move up to here for 2. And then 3, we're going to move into this space. It's a little bit risky, but we do have 3 defense now. Let's go ahead and swing our sword. We'll roll up our 3 dice, and we get 2 hits. And they're going to roll 2 dice for defense for one of them. Okay, they block 1, so we did not do enough to take them out. Actually, I'm being totally silly. We did 2 points of damage. They blocked for 1, but they only have 1 health. They just rolled 2 dice for defense. So that means we defeated 1 of those rats. That was a nice swing of the sword. We'll take this rat off of the board. Now we're going to move to Lily, and I think Lily's just simply going to turn from right here. I would say she can totally see this rat, or, do we have her shoot long range? That rat won't be able to reach anyone. So I think I'm going to go back to the other one, and I'm going to have her attack this rat. We're rolling 2 dice looking for arrows. Okay, we have 1 arrow, and they're going to roll 2 dice for defense. Beautiful. No defense. My goodness, they've been awesome. I guess it's safe to say this is not their first rodeo, right? This is essentially the 3rd story that they've been in. Finally, the single rat left will activate. He'll move, and I would say he can move 1, 2, and 3. So trying to move a little bit closer to us. That's it. Now that rat warrior will move up 1 space on the initiative track, so he's now going to go before Lily. Jacoby, not wanting to be outsmarted by Nez, is going to try and search again. There it is! He finally found something. I did forget to show this with Nez, but I did put one of these on Nez, and I have one of these on Jacoby now as well. The question now is, what did Jacoby find? Jacoby found a jingle helm. Holy moly. Once per chapter, the wearer of this helm receives 2 cheese when exploring into a starting chapter in Headfall Hollow. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that goes on your head, so anyone can wear that. Oh, no, only a shrew. And I don't think we have any shrew. No, I don't. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to discard this card. So you can do this with any of your search cards. If you get one that you can't use or you don't want, you can discard it to gain 1 cheese. So that's going to be his first cheese. And that's good because I need 2 cheese to power up his first aid. But I'm not really attacking with him, so I'm not getting a ton of cheese. Remember that I can do a move and an action or an action and then move. So I'm still going to have him move 1, 2, 3 to this spot. He's not going to do the flip. He can't. We can't search it yet because we still have a minion on the board. But after we defeat that minion, we can search. And here's the thing. Nez is next. He has not defeated a minion yet, and he doesn't like that. So he's going to turn around and go, finally. He's going to take 1 step. He can attack, and I should say anybody in melee range can attack 1 space away. You don't have to be in the same space, because if there's ever 4, let's say 4 minions in 1 space, that would mean we actually can't move into that space. So you can always attack 1 space away, but his hammer works better at 1 space away because we get a total of 4 dice for this attack. He'll roll 2 dice for defense. He's looking for sword symbols, and we have 3. I don't think there's a way. There isn't. This guy's dead, but is he going to get any cheese? He's going to get cheese. So that'll be the 3rd cheese. Ned, though, is still pretty happy about that. Taking on a minion feels good. We can deal with the cheese. That's what he says. That's our 3rd one. We're already halfway to filling up for Chapter 1. Now, though, I'm going to take his initiative card, and if we get back to his turn and we're still on this tile, we're going to have to add another cheese to the cheese wheel. But I don't think we're going to do that. Colin will go next. He's going to try and search to start off with. Oh, yes, there's an asterisk. That means, once again, he won't be able to search on this tile again. And we will draw this card, and we have, another leather breastplate. Exactly what he has. You have to be a warrior. We definitely want to get this to Nez. So we'll put this in our backpack and give it to him as soon as we can. Which we'll do right now. We'll move 1, 2, 3, because we can move 3. And then, as a free action, we'll go ahead and give him the leather breastplate. He'll put it in his backpack, along with, what is his other one that he has? The pick hammer. Those 2 are in his backpack, and during his next turn, he can go ahead and equip it. Lily is next, though, and what she's going to do, she's going to move 1, 2, 3, move into the same space as Jacoby, and she's going to do an explore action. We're going to flip this tile. Now, if you look here, when Lily enters a previously unexplored tile, she receives 2 cheese. I believe that works for this because we have never explored the other side of this tile, so she will gain 2 cheese. We're also going to remove all of these search tokens because we're now going to a new tile. And it looks like Lily has found the lair. You can see the name over here. We can see there's a flip icon here. That means we're all going to start in this location. There's just enough space for all 4 of us since we're playing with all 4 mice. Now you can see there's these yellow icons here, or yellow lines, and there's an arrow pointing this way. That means if we want to move from this to this, no problem. But if we want to move from here to here, that costs 3 movement points. It's hard to move up there. Think of it as maybe we have to climb up something, but it's easy to jump down. So we've got 1 here, and we have 1 here. We also have minion spawn points in all 3 of these spots. You can see here the picture of the tile. We have a special search here on this table. We have some special setup rules. When the mice first explore the lair, instead of revealing an encounter card, place 4 rat warriors normally. Okay, so we're just going to have 4 of them. We now also have a story moment. After placing the rat warriors and resetting the initiative track, which I'll just do in a second, choose a player to read the following aloud. Jacoby led them in the gaping maw of the cave, plunging them into darkness. Tilda twitched her nose. We're not alone, the healer said. No, indeed, agreed Maginot. I detect a musky aroma of numerous woodland creatures. We must be wary. Pish posh, said Jacoby. The passage to the Thistle Ridge couldn't be safer. Made the trip a dozen times at least. Colin furrowed his brow at this, and looking around he saw his companions place little trust in Jacoby's words as well. Wasn't this fellow telling us the down was filled with dangers? Whispered Filch. But Maginot motioned for him to be silent, and so they traveled onward, their eyes quickly adjusting to the dimness, and before long they saw a flickering light up ahead. Candlelight, hissed Nair. The tunnel widened slightly and opened into a small cavern that exited to the north. The cave looked lived in a pleasant sort of way, but 4 swarthy rats were ransacking the place. Oi, what's that? Called a rat dressed in a dirty red cape of gnomish design, and his companions jerked their heads up. Hey, they's got a nut, said a rat, smiling dumbly. A real beaut, too, said another. The rat with the cap flashed a nasty, toothy grin and drew a sword. Get 'em, boys, he cried. Our special rule. Each of these rats will move towards and attempt to attack the mouse with the nut. Oh, they're going to go for Jacoby. They will even pass through or leave spaces with other mice, preferring to move toward the mouse with the nut when choosing targets to attack. They will choose to attack the mouse with the nut if possible. So probably what we'll do is they'll move through them, but if they end their movement in a space with another mouse, they'll attack. We have here, if the mice defeat the rats in this room, add the Red Gnome Hat Story Achievement token to the party stash. Then advance the chapter end marker 1 page space on the chapter track. We have a note here that gnome hats are valued highly by gnomes. Kind of makes sense. You can bet that if you find a gnome hat, there's going to be a gnome out there looking for it. And I just want to show you, if we have a surge in this room, that means if we get 3 more cheese, the Mollux is going to come out. And if I remember right, that was not a good thing. This time, for our initiative track, unfortunately, Colin is first. Because of that, he doesn't get another cheese. He already has 3 cheese. Lily's going to go next, followed by Nez, followed by the Rat Warriors, and finally Jacoby. I've placed 2 rats up here, 1 rat here, and 1 rat here, because you're supposed to spread them out as evenly as possible, but with minions that attack with melee, you want them to get as close as possible. Also, I just want you to note, because we're only having them move 2, this is good for you to know. All of the minions in the game ignore any of the terrain items that are on the board. So if you see this right here, this denotes that we would have to take 3 movement to move up. For this mouse, he will move right over it, no problem, because they're jerks. So we're going to start off with Colin, and I think the first thing he's going to do is he's going to use his Inspire ability. You may use this ability before taking a turn with this mouse. Until the end of this round, after a mouse performs an action, that mouse may spend 1 cheese to perform 1 additional action. You can only do this with 1 cheese. I'm doing this because we all have 1 cheese, and I have enough cheese to do this. So I'm going to spend 2 cheese to do this, and then I'm going to spend 1 cheese so I can make 2 attacks. It does mean I'm left cheeseless, but I think as Colin, especially given that he's at the top of the initiative track, it's a good time to do this. So I believe I can move 1, 2, 3, moving into here, and we're going to attack one of these guys. Our attack value is 3, so we'll roll 3 dice up, and that's a terrible roll. We missed with all of them. So that was our first action, but remember, we spent a cheese to get 2 actions. Come on, I was hoping to take out one of these rats. Okay, well, we gained 1 cheese back, which I'll take, and we have 1 potential point of damage. But that rat warrior gets to roll 2 dice for defense, and he blocked the 1 hit. Man, that was terrible. So we didn't do much. However, we do have Lily going next, so I'm going to go ahead and have her move here. I believe she has a line of sight. She can go ahead and attack, and potentially, she has 2 cheese. She could use 1 to add 1. I might do that. I might have her do the aim shot. Now, just so you know, as you're playing the campaign, you will gain these ability cards, and they never go away. Your search cards, all but one of them will go away. So the search cards aren't nearly as important as these ability cards. However, I could have 19 ability cards. I can only ever activate 1 during my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and use this for my first attack. I'm going to roll 3 dice for my attack. And don't forget, because it's been a while, if those rats roll cheese for defense, I will actually get the cheese instead of them. Let's roll up our 3 dice for the attack. Okay, we've got 1 hit and 1 cheese. I'll take the cheese. That's our second one. But they're still going to roll 2 dice for defense. Oh, come on. Oh, they blocked 1. Okay, so then I think I am going to use cheese to do a second attack. However, this second attack, I only get to roll 2 dice. Come on, arrows. Come on, arrows. No, missed it. But I did get a cheese, so I will get my second cheese back. And I had no hits, so they won't roll any dice. Boy, I'm having a hard time hitting these rats. Ned is next to go, and as he would state, never let the young whippersnappers do what you need a man with a hammer to do. He's going to move here. He can swing 1 space away, so he gets to roll 4 dice for this attack. He's rolling 4 dice, looking for swords. Wow, there's 3 swords. There's no way he's not taking one of them out. They're going to roll, wow, they rolled 1 defense, 3 of them. He took out 1 of them. He's definitely going to use his second cheese to attack a second time. So 1 of those rat warriors is gone. He's going to then pick up his hammer again and roll it. And let's see, he gets no hits for that second one, but he gets his cheese back. He got 1 cheese, so he'll take that cheese back. We'll remove 1 of those rat warriors. We have 3 left. Unfortunately, they're all going to go next. So this rat warrior is going to go 1, 2. It's going to move, I think, right here, and then he'll attack Lily. Let's see. I was saying that those are 2 movements. So yeah, 1, 2. He's going to attack Lily. This one is going to move 1, 2. And this one's going to move 1 and 2. So the only attack that's happening is this one on Lily. We've got 2 attack dice to 2 defense dice. So the attack dice, oh my gosh, they're just going to add 2 cheese to the cheese wheel. That is pretty gosh darn terrible. That means that they're only 1 away from us having our first surge. And of course, the rat warriors are now going to move up 1 space, and now they're going to go before Nez. Jacoby is next. He's in a space where he can attack a rat. Let's go ahead and roll his 1 die. Let's see if he can do it. No, but he does get a cheese. I'll go ahead and grab that cheese. And then remember, it's a boomerang, so it'll come back. He can roll 1 die. Come on, hit him, hit him, hit him. No, we don't. Remember, it's a ranged attack, so that didn't work. I think, no, I don't know. Instead of doing a second action, I'm going to use the 2 cheese that I have here to activate my first aid. And it states that I can use this ability as a free action and remove 1 wound marker from a mouse that's in my space. I'm going to do me because I only have 2 health and they're all coming towards me who has the Barksburg nut. So I'm going to go ahead and heal that, and now I'm at full health. Let's go ahead and start the next round. We'll start with Colin. He's going to turn, face, move over here. He's got enough movement to move into this space with this rat. And with that tail link, play this card instead of taking a battle action. If there's at least 1 other friendly mouse in the same space, Lily, defeat 1 minion in that space. That was a pretty sweet move. They work together, trip him up, knock him to the ground, and get him off of the board. Next to go will be Lily, and she's going to go ahead and target this rat. She's going to use this 1 cheese to use her aim shot ability and roll 3 dice. And we get 1 hit. Let's see if he defends. He doesn't! Oh, I was really worried I saw swords, but no shields. So we did 1 point of damage, no shields, and he didn't roll any cheese. It's really good. So we just took out that rat warrior. That'll be 3 down and 1 to go. Unfortunately, that 1 is now going to go next. I would say this is 1 movement and this is 2. He's going to move right in to where Jacoby is and attack Jacoby. 2 dice for the attack, and we get 1 point of damage. 2 dice for the defense, and we get 1 defense. Beautiful. Jacoby blocks the attack. As much as I really wanted to get to that special search, I think with how close that cheese well is going to go, and if just thinking about dealing with a really strong enemy right now, no. Instead, Ned is going to go ahead and move over here, and he's going to attack that rat warrior. Before doing that, of course, this rat warrior is going to move up 1 space. We're rolling 4 dice for this attack. 3 damage and a cheese. That will be his second piece of cheese. And with 3 damage, it's pretty much not going to matter what we roll here as long as it's not a cheese. And it's not, that rat warrior is toast. I think it's safe to say you don't want to be around this hammer when it's being swung. So now here's the thing about this tile. Just for camera purposes, I've been only playing with the active tile on the table. But technically this tile is here, and this is where we want to get to. However, you can see here in this exit area, this is a blue versus an orange. We can't go from here and explore to this tile. What we need to do is actually flip this tile back over. Then we need to climb up to that upper ridge and explore over here. That's how we're going to continue on with the story. So what we could do here now is do some searching, which I can do, but before Nez's turn, we're going to want to have someone flip that tile over as soon as possible, climb up there, and explore the new tile. Oh, I almost forgot, you guys. We did find the gnome hat. Use this party item when directed by the storybook. No idea what that's going to do, but we have to move up to page 2, and now we have this party item, the gnome hat. Took that right off of the head of that rat. We can have both Jacoby and Colin do a search, and then Lily will need to explore so we don't add cheese to the cheese wheel. So Jacoby will search, and he'll find something. So he'll grab this one, and he finds Scatter. Play this card during Nightfall to use an explore action even with minions on the tile. The minions cannot include a boss or outnumber the mice on this tile. After playing this card, remove all remaining minions from this tile. Oh, that's cool! So we can actually run away if there's Nightfall. Okay. Colin is next. Let's see. Can he search? No, he doesn't find anything. That means Lily's just going to move to that explore space and flip the tile. Now, unfortunately, she's not moving to an unexplored tile that we've never seen before, so she won't get the 2 cheese. Well, we flipped over our tile, which is great. However, we need to get to this explore area here, and the only way we can do that is by going all the way around to here. That means there's no way for us to do that without activating the cheese wheel. I don't know what else we're going to do. So I believe I'm going to have Colin go first, and he's just going to scurry. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 to get to here. Lily's going to go next, and her movement is the same, so she'll stay over here with Colin. Ned is definitely slower, so he's going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. And Jacoby is faster. He can move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's in the right spot. However, we've just all taken an action, or our actions and our movement. And so now we're going to place the final cheese on the cheese wheel, pushing up ourselves to page 3, and we're going to have our special surge. I'm not entirely sure if I'm doing that right, but I'm going to take it that I'm doing that right. So we would fill this up. So that means we'll put this all the way back down, and I'll put this back up like so. And now we're on to chapter 3. I took a look at the adventure book, and I'm realizing that there is no special surge here. So you don't draw a new card for this. All you do is you just move to the next chapter. So that's actually not as bad as I was thinking. I mean, I don't like being at chapter 3, but what can I do? Colin's going to go first. I'm going to have him move over to here. I think it's hard for me to remember who actually did the search here, so I'm just going to say they all have searched. I can't remember who did or who didn't. So I'm just going to move, Colin there. Then Lily's going to come over here, and she's going to do the explore action. That will allow her to gain 2 more cheese. She has a total of 3. When the mice explore Ticklemoore, choose a player to read the following aloud. The wild forest stream rumbled ferociously, and Nere watched a fallen leaf race down the swift waters. It is far too dangerous, she said. Agreed, says Maginot. Not worth the risk. Psh, dismisses Jacoby. On with you now, or do you want to make Headfall before I retire? The mice look at each other nervously. I don't like this, Lily whispered. What's going on? I thought I liked Jacoby, but now I'm not sure. Reveal an encounter card as usual. Make sure to check for any special encounter conditions on the card. we have a special rule here. It says, if the mice spy the Woody Nobbles at midnight, add a Woody Nobbles story achievement token to the party stash. Then advance the chapter end marker 1 page space on the chapter track. Note the Woody Nobbles are a rare sight. Apparently they enjoy music. Okay. And we have our special exploring. Before a mouse can use an explore action to leave this tile, all mice must be on the same side of the water to explore. Yes, and water is such a pain. Let's see what we find for our encounter. We're on page 3. Oh, we get a centipede. Gross, and 2 rats. Well, you've seen the rats a few times, but the centipede is new. Attacks with 3 with 2 dice as a defense. They actually have a total of 4 health, so we have to do 4 points of damage to take them out. And they stun. When a cave centipede wounds a mouse, place a stun marker on that mouse's initiative card. Yeah, stuns stink. Stunned mice can move normally, but the only action they can take is a recover action just to simply recover from being stunned. So let's go ahead and set up the initiative track. And I should mention, you can see it says mouse traps here. If there are any X symbols on this tile, we'd place mouse traps out. There are no X symbols here. We're outside, so there's not going to be any mouse traps. Well, finally, Jacoby is going to go first. Makes some thematic sense. He's the one that's not worried about the water. Everyone else is. Then Colin. Colin's going to gain a cheese because he's not at the top, so that gives him 2 cheese. Then the cave centipede, then Lily, then Nez, and then the rat warriors. I'm pretty sure I would not want to see this on the ground in my house. One of these centipedes. Oh, it looks totally nasty. Well, this encounter is going to be really interesting. We've got rat warriors over here, a centipede. Remember, the enemies are not affected by the water, so they can walk through it no problem. Us, not so much. When we walk onto the water, we immediately have to end our movement. Then, when we're trying to get off of the water, we have to roll a die and get one of those asterisk symbols. But for every mouse that is on the other side where we're trying to get to, we get to roll an additional die. So let's say I had 2 over here, and I was trying to move off of this space. I would get to roll a total of 3 dice to try and get that asterisk symbol to get out of the water. However, this water has a current. It's rushing down this way. Remember, we saw that leaf flying down. So that means at the end of your turn, no matter where you are, you're going to get pushed down 1 space, pushed down 1 space. If ever you get pushed off of the board, you then are considered captured. If all of us get captured, we lose this chapter. Finally, because there's this current, we can't move, let's say, from this spot to this spot. We can only move this way or this way, but that's not the way we want to go. When we all have to get to this side of the water. Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting. So Jacoby is first, and I think he's just going to go ahead and do a move action followed by doing a scurry. And I believe you can do the scurry. So what he's going to do is move 1, 2. He has to immediately stop because he's in the water. And then he's going to scurry himself over here. Then at the end of his turn, he's going to get pushed down to here. Next will be Colin. Colin, I think, is going to move himself right into this space with this rat. We're going to try and take this rat out before he gets to activate. We're going to roll 3 dice for this attack, and we only get 1 hit. Bummer. That rat will roll 2 dice for defense. He got 1 defense, so he blocks the hit. Next, that centipede is going to go, and he's going to move 1, 2, moving into this space. Lily is higher up on the initiative track, so he's going to attack Lily. He rolls 3 dice. Lily rolls 2 dice for defense. Let's hope for a really bad roll here. Okay, he's rolling for 2 damage and 1 cheese. Yeah, I said really bad. That was a really good roll for that centipede. We're going to roll for defense. Oh my gosh, 2 blocks. So he took no damage and only 1 cheese. Wow, Lily, that was beautiful. Because remember, if she had taken damage, she would have been stunned by that attack. We'll go ahead and move this up 1 space like so. Lily's not too happy there's a centipede in her face. She's going to use a cheese to do an aim shot, rolling 3 dice for this attack on that centipede. We only have 1 hit. Okay, he's rolling 2 dice for defense, and he gets a cheese. What's great, though, is his cheese roll will actually go to her, and since he has no defense, he will take 1 point of damage, 3 more, and that centipede is toast. Now, this might seem a little bit crazy, but Nez is going next, and he's all about taking out enemies as much as possible. He's going to move 1 space away. We'll move him, I think, over here, let's say, so that he can swing his hammer at this blasted centipede, and he gets to roll 4 dice. However, he's going to use his Battle Squeak. He's going to discard 1 cheese, so he'll go down to 1. He's going to roll 5 dice for this attack. 5 beautiful dice. Let's look for swords. Okay, we've got 2 swords and a cheese, so that's 2 points of damage, and I'll take that cheese back. That'll put us at 2. That centipede rolls 1 cheese and no defense, so that's 2 more points of damage. Oh, he's 1 away from getting killed. Now the rat warriors are going to go. This one's going to attack Colin, and this one's simply going to move 2 spaces towards Jacoby. 2 dice attack on Colin, and he gets 1 hit. Colin rolls 1 plus 2, 3. 3 dice for defense. Wow, that's awesome. And we get 1 shield, so no damage. Of course, we know what those rat warriors do, and they're going to push themselves up 1 on the initiative track. Now let's go back to Jacoby. Jacoby's going to take a chance. He's going to throw that boomerang at that centipede. Let's see if he can hit him. No, he gains a cheese. He'll gain 1 cheese for that roll. But then the boomerang is going to start coming back. Come on. Hit. No. Doesn't work. Only rolling 1 die is pretty painful for his attack. So he'll go ahead and move here for a second, and then he's going to get pushed into this space with this rat, who is probably going to attack him next turn. Now, though, it's going to be Colin's turn, and Colin's going to attack the rat in his space. 3 dice for this attack. Beautiful. We've got 2 hits. This guy's going to have to block with both of these. He blocks with one, not with the other. That rat is gone. We'll remove this rat from the board, and then I think Colin's going to hope that Nez and Lily can take care of that centipede, because what he's going to do for his movement, 1, 2, he's going to stop here and then get pushed down from the rapids. That centipede is going to go next, attacking Lily, rolling 3 dice. Man, 2 points of damage. Lily is rolling 2 dice for defense. Oh, come on. Oh, she got a cheese. That's her 4th one, but she took 2 points of damage. Oh, she's almost captured, you guys. And remember, when you're captured, you have to move up 1 page. So we move up to the next page, and then she's removed from the board. And she discarded all of her cheese, and she has 4 cheese. 2 points of damage, she's stunned. And then she can do the recover action simply to get rid of the stunned effect. Then after that, I believe it's the rats. Unfortunately, that is the case, and I'm just going to do it since I'm showing you. After they go, they're going to now go after the centipede. This first rat is going to attack Jacoby. Beautiful, no hits. The second one is totally dead. I forgot Colin took out the other rat. There's only 1 rat on the board. Nez is next. He's going to go ahead and swing that hammer. He's going to roll 4 dice trying to take that centipede out. Let's see. We've got 2 hits here. The centipede will roll 2 dice for defense. Blocks 1, not the other. Centipede is gone. Nez with the hammer blow right to the face. We'll remove the centipede from the board, and the centipede will no longer activate. Thank goodness. Now, let me see. If he can still do his move... he can move 1 and 2, jump into the water. Then he'd move to here. Next turn, he can move 1, 2, then get pushed over here. Yeah, let's do it. I want him to get into the water. He's going to move 1 and then jump into the water with Colin, but then get pushed down to here. Next to go is going to be Jacoby. So, yeah, he's just going to try. He's got his boomerang. He can throw his boomerang twice. I should say it's only once, but hit him on both sides. First roll, and we've got a cheese. So he'll go ahead and gain a cheese, but unfortunately does not hit that rat. Second attack. Oh, we've got a hit. Okay, if I roll 2 dice and no defense. No, he has a defense. So that rat blocked the attack. Well, you know what? I was totally wrong. It's equal to or greater. So that means we should try and move out of that space. We can technically move here, but remember, we have to roll a die. If we get the asterisk, we're successful. Come on, Jacoby, I know you can do it. Yes, there's an asterisk. That means Jacoby can jump safely to this rock. Now, Colin is next. He's going to go ahead and do a scurry action, and he's going to scurry here. Then he's going to do a move action. He's going to move here, and then he's going to get pushed back into the current right where the rats are. And guess what? That rat's going to attack him for that activation. The rat will roll 2 dice, and he gets 1 cheese and a hit. And then Colin rolls 3 dice for defense. He gets a cheese and a defense, so that cheese is his 3rd cheese. Oh, man, if I get 3 more, I can level him up. But another cheese on the cheese wheel. And not only that, he's also going to move up above Colin at this point. So that's our 2nd cheese on the cheese wheel. As much as I'd love to kill that rat is the only reason we're not pushing cheese like nobody's business on that minion's wheel. So for Lily's turn, she's just going to move 3. 1, 2 for her movement. Then she's going to scurry here, and then she's going to get pushed over here. Then we're going to move to Nez's turn. Nez is just going to move 1 and 2 for his scurry, and then he's going to get pushed back to here. So that means we really need to make sure he can get out of the water next turn. Otherwise, yeah, you know what's going to happen. He's going to get captured. So now we're going to move to Jacoby's turn. Now, Jacoby would have to spend all of his movement. Actually, he has 3 movements, so it actually has 4. So he can move here. As much as I want to be able to help Colin, I think it's going to be more important that I help Nez. So I'm going to move. That costs 3 movement to move through that because we're basically jumping onto this mushroom. But remember, our total movement is 3, and then we're giving us our +1 because of how we're playing with our house rules. So that was 4. Then we'll do our scurry action. This only costs 1 to move here, and we can try and help Nez get out during his turn. So now, though, it's the Rat Warrior's turn, and he's going to attack Colin again. This will be a roll of 2 dice for the attack. God, another hit. Okay, Colin will roll 3 dice for defense. Come on, cheese. Well, he blocked. No cheese, though. And now that Rat Warrior is going to push himself up even in front of Jacoby. Next to go will be Colin. We're first going to try and get out of that space into dry land, and we got an asterisk. Awesome. We can move ourselves up to this rock, and we're safe. And then I think we're just going to stay here because we can try and help Lily get out of the water, and we'll do a search. Let's see what we get. We get an asterisk. Great job, Colin. Let's draw ourselves a search card, and we have bedrolls. This is another party item. So all party items I just have in an area, and we can have as many party items as we want, but we have to discard all of them at the end of a chapter. After clearing a tile of minions, if it is nightfall, we haven't had that happen, discard this party item to make camp. Each mouse in the group can either heal 1 wound or look through the search deck and pick any trick card, then shuffle the search deck. Wow, that's cool. After Colin, it's Lily. Lily will move 1 here. That's her scurry action. Then she'll try and do a move. She'd normally only roll 1 die to get that asterisk, but because Colin is here, we get to roll 2 dice. Come on, asterisk symbols. Beautiful. Got one here. Now we rolled a cheese, but that wasn't for attacking or defending, so we don't get any cheese for that, which is a bummer because she has 4 cheese. She does, though, have 2 damage. We'll go ahead and pull Lily out of the water. Whew. Okay. Now it's Nez's turn. And I think we're going to take a chance. We're 1 space away from this rat. We're in a lot of water. We're close to falling off the board, but we're going to use our action to swing our hammer and hit him. Maybe we can take him out. Then, hopefully, with Jacoby's help, we can jump onto this rock. Nez is going to go ahead and use his battle squeak here. He's going to spend 1 cheese. That means he's rolling 5 dice for this attack. Come on, swords. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4 swords. So we're guaranteed to kill the guy. He gets to roll 2 dice. If he gets cheese, no cheese. He blocked for 2 though. Wow, but we still took him out. Now we need to roll 2 dice for our movement trying to get out of the water. And we get an asterisk. Oh, yes. So now this is where without our house rule, we'd already have to place a cheese on the minion track because we've removed this rat and Nez was the last one on the initiative track. But we're going to play that when we get to his turn, that's when we have to place the cheese. Because that seems to be a little bit more fair. And it's way more fun that he got to do that big attack, battle squeak in the water, swing his hammer, take him out, jump onto the rock. That was pretty epic. Now what I could do is come up to here with Jacoby and explore. But as fun as that is, do you see this symbol? I almost missed it. But there's this symbol here that allows us to flip the tile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Jacoby and I'm going to have Colin just do regular searches, see if they can find anything. Then Lily is going to come over here for 2. I'll just do it now. And then she's going to explore and flip this tile, and we'll see what's on the other side. Jacoby's first for searching, and he finds something, and Colin does not find anything. And you know, that's probably a good thing I'm realizing because Colin already searched. I don't think Jacoby did. Oh, I should have made a token. I forgot to put it on there. Let's go ahead and flip our next search card. We have Intense Cowering. Play this card when this mouse is selected by a minion as the target of an attack. That minion cannot attack this mouse during this turn, and if possible, must choose a new target. Oh, yes, we're going to give that to, that was Jacoby who found that, right? Nice. Lily has now had us explore this tile. Look at this tile. I love how this looks. I wonder where we are. We've got lily pads. We've got this green water. We have a special search on this tile in this space right here. And we have a story moment. And I should also mention that Lily will gain 2 cheese because she explored this. She now has 6, so she can level up. Jacoby called it the Underwood. It's a network of tunnels, caverns, and burrows, he said as they hiked. It all runs for miles underground and provides excellent shelter from the forest above. Definitely no owls down here, he assured them with a grin. I don't even want to imagine what might be down here with us, whimpered Lily. We should be passing under the Ticklemoore soon, he said. The tunnel opened up, and they all gasped at the phosphorescent wonders that lay before them. Glowing moss and mushrooms pulsed with an inner light, and beautiful stalactites of limestone hung down from the ceilings. Tickles of water dripping from the tips. The cavern was wet, and the floor slippery beneath their paws, but none could deny the ancient beauty of the place, until the sound of Lily's bowstring being pulled taut reminded them they were in the wilds. What is it? Whispered Colin. Marauders, she hissed back. Then reveal an encounter card as usual. We have bouncing mushrooms. This sounds awesome. Instead of a normal move, a mouse that begins its move on a mushroom can bounce. Place the mouse on any other mushroom on this tile. This replaces the normal mouse's move. Let's go ahead and draw our encounter card. And we have rain, which will have no effect here because there isn't any water spaces. There's puddles, but not water. We're at page 3, so we have to deal with a Mollux. Great. A Mollux only has 1 health. Has 2 attack dice, attacks melee with 2 defense. Mollux moves towards and attacks the mouse with the most cheese in its stash and highest on the initiative track. If the Mollux starts its turn adjacent to a mouse or no mouse has cheese, it acts normally. Huh. It's actually not as bad as I was thinking. Remember how I said he wasn't bad? Yeah, I forgot that there's 3 cards for him. There's the Mollux, there's the Angry, and the Enraged Mollux. And look at that third one, 4 attack. So how he works is you're going to start with just the basic Mollux. When you defeat that one doing 1 point of damage, he gets angry. Then after getting angry, he gets enraged. Yay. Our initiative track is actually pretty nice. We have Lily going first, followed by Jacoby. They're both ranged. Then we have the Mollux, then Colin, then Nez. Colin will gain his 4th cheese because he is not at the top of the initiative track. And I really, the more I think about this Mollux, it's awesome. He always goes towards the character with the most cheese because he's blind. He can't see anything, but he can smell. And he's going towards the smell. I love that. They did a really great job with this game and the thematic ties. The Mollux is standing over here. We're over here. We're going to start with Lily. Now you're going to see there's some spaces with shallow water. We can ignore any of the water effects of having to stop our movement and trying to get out of water for these, but you can use those if you're on fire to help yourself get no longer on fire. So let's start with Lily. Lily has a full set of 6 cheese. She's going to go ahead and level up. Spend all 6 to gain the accurate shot ability. You may use this ability before making a ranged attack with this mouse. The target of that attack rolls 2 fewer dice when defending against the attack. Yeah, she's going to be our assassin. She's then going to stay right where she's at. I would say nothing here blocks line of sight, and we're going to take a pot shot at this Mollux. Her attack is 2, and his defense is 2. Okay, we have 1 point of damage coming in. Come on, don't block. Oh, he didn't block. So not only did she level up, she then takes her bow, takes a shot, hits him right in the chin. I don't think he's going to be too happy about that. He is going to discard this card, and now he's got a 3/3. Next we have Jacoby going. First thing he's going to do is use his first aid. He's going to spend the 2 cheese that he has, and he's going to heal up Lily by 1, because Lily, of course, has 2 damage. She now only has 1. That's the first thing he's going to do. That's a free action. Second thing he's going to do is roll 1 die. Yeah, 1 die to search. And he finds cheese, which is not very useful. That's all he's going to do. Next to go is the Mollux. Now, he is a large character, so they suggest rolling the die for him, and he's going to move a total of 2 spaces. He's going towards the character with the most cheese, but of course they're all standing in the same space, so he's just going to start moving himself up. He's pissed about that arrow in his side. Colin then is next. He gets to roll 3 dice for his attack, so let's go ahead and give it a shot. He's going to move 2 spaces to here and take a swing with his sword. This is a 3 dice attack and a 3 dice defense. Oh man, only 1 hit. And 3 dice for defense, 1 block, so he blocked it, and he's going to put cheese on the cheese wheel. This means we're halfway done with page 3 already. Nez is the last to go. He's going to go ahead and move 1, 2. He's going to move right next to Colin, and he's also going to swing his hammer. He's going to spend a cheese, and he's going to get to roll 5 dice for this because he's going to squeak, a battle squeak. We're rolling 5 dice for this hammer swing, and we have a total of 1, 2, 3 hits, and we have a piece of cheese, so he'll get that cheese back. Then we've got 3 dice for the defense, and we've got blocks 2 of the hits, but not the third, so the Mullux has been damaged twice now. He's no longer an angry Mullux, he is an enraged Mullux. Lily and Jacoby are next. I don't think they have a chance. They're both just going to do a search, so I'll start with Jacoby. Jacoby can never find anything. I swear, he's not on our side, actually. And Lily can. So Lily has done her search for this room. We'll draw our search card, and we have stolen cheese. That doesn't sound good. Play immediately. If there's a scamp in the party, there isn't. Remove 2 cheese from the mouse's stash unless this mouse is the scamp. In that case, add 2 cheese. Yeah, I don't think that none of that happens. No one is a scamp, I don't think. Nope. So we'll just discard it. The enraged Mullux is next. I could roll a die for his movement, but he is going to attack Colin, who has 4 cheese. He has the most cheese, so he's just not going to move. He's going to stay there. I'm going to roll 4 dice for this attack. Okay, 1 point of damage and 1 cheese. That's actually not terrible. Colin will roll 3 dice for defense. Colin gets a cheese. That's his 5th. 1 more, you guys, and he can level up. And he definitely blocked. We're going to have to increase that cheese wheel up to here. We're getting very close to ending page 3. Colin's going to have a go at this enraged Mullux. Let's see what he gets with 3 dice. That's 3 damage. Awesome. Okay, the Mullux is going to roll 4 dice for defense. Look at that. Nothing, 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 and 1 shield. Totally, that will negate this one. We did 2 points of damage. He only has 1 health. We just took out the Mullux. That is amazing. We'll remove the Mullux from the board, and then what I think I'm going to do is, looking at the initiative track, we can have Nez and Jacoby. No, we can't do that. We can have Nez, and that's it. Nez is going to do a search, and then Lily's going to have to explore us back to the other tile. Come on, Nez, you can find us something. No, he can't. That means during Lily's activation, we're going to go ahead and explore and flip this tile back over. Lily has completed her activation. Let's now move to Jacoby, because then Jacoby can move 1, 2, and then he can go ahead and do an explore. I'd love that to be Lily, but if I let Jacoby end his turn, we'd get back to Colin's turn with no minions on the board, and we'd have to place a cheese. I think it's worth it. I know she doesn't get any cheese then, but I still think it's worth it for us to jump onto this next tile. So let's go ahead and explore this tile. I'm going to move all of our mice over here. You can see here on this tile there is no special search. Good to know. They arrived at a clearing in the forest, and Jacoby called for a rest. Tilda handed off the Barksburg nut to Colin. She had never complained during her rotation, but it was clear the weight of it had left her older mouse exhausted. Nez and Maginot looked exhausted too, and Colin wondered how many adventures his older companions had in them. Maginot was especially ancient, but the mystic noticed Colin's gaze and arched an eyebrow as if guessing what the prince was thinking. Leaning on his staff, he walked over. "If you will avert your gaze from me to yonder rock, you may notice something worth seeing," says Maginot. All Colin saw in the distance was a large boulder covered in ancient moss. It did have an odd shape, though, and it slowly dawned on Colin that he was staring at a gigantic stone head. Now that he saw it's true, he realized it was the head of some ancient statue, fallen from its proper place countless centuries ago, now resting on the ground, its face staring up at the sunlight that shone down on it from above. "Headfall," Colin said, his voice filled with awe, and his companions stopped what they were doing to look. "Simply beautiful," Lily said. "I didn't expect its name to be so literal," said Filch with a shrug. In the distance, a battle horn tore through the woodland serenity. Lily pointed at the head, her keen eyes picking something out. "There are armed soldiers on top of the head," she shouted. "They're firing into the woods. They must be under attack." "Quickly," said Colin as he unsheathed his sword. "We shall answer the call." We'll reveal an encounter card as usual. We'll draw ourselves an encounter card, and we have, let's see, we're on page 3 still, 2 frogs and 1 bullfrog, and a weasel for the surge. Well, bullfrogs are definitely new. After moving, choose the closest mouse that is in sight and highest on the initiative track. Move that mouse to the space this bullfrog Luddite occupies, then attack that mouse. Wow, so that they're just going to pull you towards them and attack them. And they roll 3 dice for attack, 2 dice for defense, and they have 2 health instead of just 1. We've set up our initiative track. We've got the bullfrogs first, followed by Jacoby, followed by the frogs, followed by Colin, Lily, and Nez. This means Colin will get his 6th piece of cheese. Yay, he can level up! Here we have our bullfrog. I would also consider them to be a small minion looking at their base, so they'll have a base movement of 2, and I just love how they look. We have the bullfrog over here and the 2 regular frogs here. So we're going to start with the bullfrog. The bullfrog is going to move 2 spaces forward, and then it's going to activate its ability. It's going to choose the mouse that's closest to him and highest on the initiative track, that's Jacoby, pull him to his space, and then attack him with 3 dice. Jacoby will roll 2 dice for defense. Here's the 3 dice attack, and we've got, oh man, 1 cheese and 2 points of damage. Jacoby's going to roll 2 dice. He gets 1 block, so that means he's going to take 1 point of damage, but that 1 cheese, that's not good. With that 1 cheese, we're 1 away from a surge. Jacoby is next to go, and although he's got this bullfrog in his space, I believe he can totally see this frog here, and this frog only rolls 1 die as defense, and we really want to take these guys out at range. So I think he's just going to turn, chuck his boomerang over here while dealing with the bullfrog. This is a 1 die attack, so it's not likely it's going to happen. Oh, he got a cheese for the first one. So he'll grab, that's his first cheese because he used the other one for healing. And here's his second one. Okay, he's got an arrow. All right, so we just got to hope that that frog does not roll a shield. And he does. Ah, he blocked it. Frogs are next to go. This one's going to move 1, 2. Now, I'm still not sure about minions. I don't know if it really makes sense that they can attack and move through red lines. I think the red lines still affect them. So he's going to move 1, 2 here, and that'll end his turn. So next will be Colin. And do let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, and I'll make sure to play that, because it just would feel really weird if I had him here and then attacking from up here, but we couldn't attack him unless we can. Anyways, I don't know. That seems weird. Colin has himself 6 cheese, so he's going to go ahead and level up, grabbing the Battle Leader ability. You may use this ability immediately after taking a turn with this mouse. Choose a mouse that is higher on the initiative track and switch this mouse's initiative card with the initiative card of that chosen mouse. The chosen mouse may now immediately take a turn, which is pretty cool. We get to roll 3 dice for our attack, so let's do that. We have 2 points of damage. He only rolls 2 dice for defense. He gets a cheese, which is terrible, and that's actually, he's going to be taken out, but he's going to place another cheese. As Colin slices down that bullfrog, beautiful hit, by the way. Unfortunately, we fill this up, and that means we have a surge. So that means we're going to grab the Weasel card, and this one has a terrible ability, Bite and Claw. After attacking the targeted mouse, choose up to 2 other mice adjacent to the Weasel. Roll 2 dice to attack the chosen mice. Each mouse defends separately. So he can attack up to 3 mice. Now, we're going to remove the bullfrog from the initiative track, moving everyone up, and then the Weasel, since he's coming in after the initiative track has been set, he'll come in at the end after Nez. We then will need to reset the cheese wheel, and we're going to have to move 1 page up. Now, we no longer have an active encounter. What we do, but because like the rain would still be in effect if that mattered. But if we, let's say, fill the minion wheel again, we will not do another surge. You only ever do 1 surge per room. We're at page 4. We literally have to page 5. If we get to page 6, we lose. The Weasel, I think, is one of my favorite minis. It looks the coolest. I love what she did on this one. It looks beautiful. Just as Colin was able to take down this bullfrog, out comes the Weasel. Next to go is going to be Lily, and I think Lily's going to go ahead and just take a shot at this frog. Let's roll 2 dice for this attack. We get 2 pieces of cheese. So we definitely failed the attack, but 2 pieces of cheese means we could activate our ability next turn. Ooh, that might be nice against that Weasel. Finally, we're going to have Nez go. Nez is going to go, Weasel, I got this. 1, 2. He's going to come right up on that Weasel, and let's see how much damage that hammer can do, especially with a battle squeak. So 5 dice. A 5 dice attack. Come on, Nez. Okay, 3 damage. That won't take him out, but that'll do a severe damage to him, especially if he does not roll any defense. He rolls 1 defense and 1 cheese. So that means we did 2 points of damage and 1 cheese on the cheese wheel. And the cheese wheel increases to 1. 2 out of the 4 damage I will take. Now, the advantage is, because Nez moved up there, I'm going to say that he's tanking the Weasel. The Weasel, I would roll a die to have him move, but he's not going to move. He's just going to attack Ned. And then with his ability, there's no other mice that are adjacent to him. Whole reason I wanted to do this. This is a 3 dice attack on Nez. Oh, 1 cheese and 1 point of damage. And Nez rolls 1 die for defense. Oh, he blocked the damage, but we got to take the cheese. We're moving this cheese up already to the 2nd spot. We'll start that next round with Jacoby. He's going to go ahead and throw that boomerang again, trying to hit one of those Froglodites. First roll, he gets another cheese. He loves rolling cheese with that. Second roll on the way back, nothing. Bummer. Frogs are next, and they're going to close right on in. This one is going to look to tank Ned, I think, or Nez, and this one's going to come over here and to try and take on Lily. Colin is next. I think what Colin's going to do is he's actually going to turn and take a step over here and try and take out that Froglodite. We're going to roll 3 dice for this attack. All 3 are damage. Let's see if he hops away. He doesn't hop away. And then he's going to roll for his defense. Oh, another cheese to the minion cheese wheel. That's already the 3rd cheese. We're almost going to be to page 5. We'll take this Froglodite off the board. Lily is next. She is going to turn herself and shoot at this frog because this frog won't be able to hop away from a ranged attack. She's going to use 1 cheese so she can roll 3 dice. We really want to hit this guy. Okay, only 1 hit. Let's see. And he doesn't block. Beautiful. The frogs have been eliminated. Lily took out that frog, nobody's business. Then we're going to have Nez go next. Nez is going to see if he can take out this weasel. He doesn't have any cheese to use for his battle squeak, so it's just going to be 4 dice. We'll roll 4 dice for the attack. We've got 2 points of damage and a cheese. 2 dice for defense. Look at that. The weasel, no chance. And we gained a cheese. Weasel's gone. That is most certainly beautiful. We're going to remove the weasel from the board. That means we're back to Jacoby's turn, and now the question is, do I want to wait around and add another cheese to the cheese wheel or keep going? Because here's where I need to go. Jacoby could do a search, but he can also move 4 spaces. So he can move 1 and 3, because it takes 3 to move to that yellow. He hops up on top, and he could explore. Or I could wait a turn and get Lily to do that, and then Lily would be able to... she'd be able to get 2 cheese. But at this point, I'm really worried about running out of time. So I think I'm just going to go here with Jacoby. He's going to explore. We've made it, you guys, to Headfall Hollow. You can see here I don't see any special searches, but we do have a story moment. A burly dwarf hamster barred entry to the Headfall Hollow and proudly stroked his whiskers.
"You are strangers to this region," it said slowly. "What business have ye in Headfall Hollow?"
"They're with me," said Jacoby, and made to pass the hamster, but the guard shoved him back with the others.
"Strangers all,"
stated the hamster. Maginos made a show of hobbling forward with his staff and said, "My good hamster, we are but weary travelers here on personal business with Sheriff McReady. Your pride in your work is commendable, but our errand is urgent. Pray let us pass with all haste, for the sheriff awaits for the news we bear."
"He has not deigned to tell me he is expecting company, and I shall not allow unannounced guests to interrupt him."
"This place used to be friendlier," griped Jacoby. The hamster took a deep breath to offer another rebuke, but his eyes fell upon the Barksburg nut.
"That is quite an acorn," he said in awe. "A golden marvel, to be sure. My apologies, you may pass. Please head to the Sheriff Toot Suite."
Once inside the town, the mice strode along the main thoroughfare with Jacoby at the lead. Bright sunlight shone down from the ancient stone head's eyes, but it cast long shadows everywhere, something Filch noted with approval. It was a busy settlement and a bustle of commerce spreading all along the streets. Barkers announced fantastic prices, and business owners haggled with their customers at every stand and cart. Exotic food smells wafted along the air, and music and merrymaking poured from the doorways of taverns and inns. A large grin spread across Nez's face as he heard the familiar tink-tink of a local smith. "It's a wholesome sound, that," he said. "The heavens knows I've missed it." "I like this place," said Colin, but then he saw a trio of rats pass by.
"Can't be too nice of a place,"
grumbled Filch. "Keep calm," replied the prince. "I'm sure it's fine." He felt a gentle tugging at his cape, and he turned to see a wee female rodent. She pulled her hood back from her pointy, shrewd snout and smiled. "Pardon the intrusion, kind sir," she said in a thin, aged voice. "I'm but a poor traveler, ambushed and robbed on my way home. Might I bother you for a few morsels of cheese?" Colin smiled warmly at her. "Don't do it, Colin!" "You may, dear lady," he replied, and set the Barksburg nut gently on the ground. "Psst!" Filch scoffed. She'll never have some of my cheese. Oh, do show some charity, you scamp, grouched Tilda. Colin reached into his pack, but was suddenly knocked down as a large rat staggered out of a nearby tavern and let loose a smelly belch. Other ratty tavern goers exited with him, howling a browdy song. By the time the commotion ended, the shrew was gone. And so was the Barksburg nut. Thievery! Old Filch was right, bellowed Nez. Then he looked around and asked, Filch? I've got her, screamed Filch as he ran down the street, already a yard away from everyone else. Good heavens, he certainly can move fast, remarked Tilda. No scamp likes getting out scamped, observed Nez, and with that the party took off after Filch. The shrew was running at a champion pace, her elderly disguise left in the dirt. No, one, out, scamps, me, gasped Filch as he chased after her. He leapt over a cart, grabbing a blackberry from it as he went. The cart owner screamed aloud in shock and anger, but Filch took aim and sent the berry flying through the air and splat! It exploded over the shrew's head, and she and the acorn went down. But the shrew was back on her feet by the time the party reached her, and this time she was not alone. A weasel with a cruel smile stepped out from behind the shadow of a flower stand, and the two of them drew weapons. Time to get messy, panted Nez, and he pulled his hammer free. We're not going to reveal an encounter card here. Instead, we're going to place the Diddy figure on any space adjacent to the well. This figure will represent the cute scoundrel. Place the stolen nut token under her. Also place a weasel on any space adjacent to the cute scoundrel to act as her bodyguard. Now add the cute scoundrel and the weasel initiative cards to the initiative track as usual. Special rule. On her turn, when the cute scoundrel moves, she moves away from the mice if possible before making a ranged attack. So kind of like what we were going to do before, I'll roll a die for her. If the mice defeat the cute scoundrel, the chapter ends immediately, and then we'll read this. However, if a surge happens on the Headfall hollow tile, the cute scoundrel grabs the nut and escapes the settlement. Choose a player to read the following aloud. Oh, we cannot let her get away! Here we have Diddy, and Diddy looks absolutely adorable. Leaves as a skirt, she's got her violin on the back, she's carrying, well, let's say right now what she's carrying is our blasted nut. The only good thing about her having the nut is Jacoby can now attack range with 2 dice instead of 1. The cute scoundrel has a range attack of 3, has 2 for the armor, and we have after the cute scoundrel takes her turn, roll an action die. If that asterisk is rolled, place 1 rat warrior on the tile normally and add the rat warrior initiative card to the initiative track if necessary. Ugh. I've set up the initiative track. We've got Jacoby, followed by the weasel, followed by Lily, followed by the cute scoundrel, followed by Colin, who will gain his first piece of cheese because he's not at the top of the initiative track, and then finally Nez. And don't forget, the cute scoundrel has our nut. We've set ourselves up on the board. We have Diddy over here, the big weasel right here. We need 3 points of damage to take her down so that we can get that nut back. And she's just going to run away from us. Jacoby is going to go first. The nice thing is he now has full use of that boomerang. He's going to chuck that boomerang at Diddy. There should be nothing blocking line of sight. He'll go ahead and do that. That means he gets 2 attacks. Come on, Jacoby, I believe in you. Let's roll 2 dice. He's got 1 damage and 1 cheese. So he'll grab that 1 cheese. And Diddy will roll 1 die for defense, and she gets nothing. Great. So she already has 1 point of damage for the first swing. Then that boomerang comes back and hits her on the other side. Got a point of damage there, and she blocks. Oh, man, I thought that was going to be amazing. The weasel is next, and he's going to do his thing. He's just going to move right up to here. He's going to attack Jacoby because he's highest up on the initiative track. Then he's going to choose Lily and Colin, and he's going to attack each of them with just 2 dice. This is going to hurt. For the attack on Jacoby, it's 3 dice. Oh, man, 1 cheese. Okay, but no damage. Awesome. And then for the attack on Colin, it's 2 dice, doing 1 point of damage. Colin will roll 3 dice for defense, and he blocks that one. And then for Lily, another attack of 2. That's another cheese. So I have to put 2 cheese on there. Doing another point of damage. Lily rolls 2 dice for defense, and she doesn't block. So she will take another point of damage. And 2 cheese on the cheese wheel. 2 cheese is going to put us 1 away from having her escape. We can't have that happen. Lily's going to go next. She has 1 cheese. She's going to use it so she can roll 3 dice attacking Diddy. Come on, come on, come on. There you go. 2 points of damage. Lily will then, or Diddy, will roll 2 dice for defense. Doesn't block with either one. Yes, that means we just took Diddy down. The cute scoundrel was a wily combatant. Each time a mouse would grab for her, she either twisted out of their grasp or a weasel intervened, knocking the mice around like toys. Occasionally, a rat would join the fray, but that was really just because rats are louts. The fight finally came to an end when Filch stepped on the scoundrel's cape, tripping her. Nez held off the weasel so Colin could confront the shrew face to face, but she never looked him in the eyes. "Ah, nuts," she said, looking at something over Colin's shoulder, and she dropped her weapon with a heavy sigh. The mice turned to face a small unit of guards that surrounded them. It was a ragtag collection of furry forest critters, but they all were well armed and armored. "I don't know where you lot come from," stated the captain of the guard, "but here in Headfall Hollow, we don't care for our streets being disrupted by quarreling. Fighting is strictly prohibited. You will each pay a fine of 10 cheese or spend a week skulking in our—" But the captain was cut off as a guardsman whispered in his ear, "What's that? A nut?" And the captain's eyes fell on the Barksburg nut. "Sweet beetle bottoms," he explained. "We must get you to the sheriff at once." The mice are victorious. See details in the chapter campaign for the special rule. If you're playing this chapter as part of a campaign, which of course I am, the mice can keep any cheese acquired during this chapter. You normally can't do that. In addition, the mice can sell their extra search cards to Dunderfur for 1 cheese apiece. The mice can use this cheese for various benefits in Headfall Hollow in one of the next chapters. A mouse cannot carry over more than 6 cheese in this manner. If the cute scoundrel escapes with the nut, that doesn't happen. If the mice successfully delivered the nut to McReady the sheriff, you can proceed to Chapter 2B. That's right where we're going to go after we read the story's continue section. "Where's that Jacoby gotten off to, eh?" snarled Nez, as the guards brusquely pushed them through the streets, their paws bound together with twine. "I suspect Mr. Jacoby looks after Mr. Jacoby," agreed Tilda, "but such is to be expected of a mercenary." "He isn't a mercenary," Lily reminded them. "He is a guide. We can hardly blame him for scampering off as long as there's no ulterior motive." This seemed to settle it, and the party fell silent as the guards led them through the settlement. The sheriff's warren was easily the largest structure in Headfall Hollow, though its makeshift nature made its 2 stories appear dangerously unstable. Wooden planks and twigs were held together by crude nails, twines, hardened tree sap, and who knows what else, and the building creaked audibly as if swaying in some unseen wind. The guards pushed the heroes through a large wooden door and up to a desk of crudely hewn wood. Behind the desk sat McReady, the largest squirrel any of them had ever seen. "Someone's a big boy," whispered Filch before Nez elbowed his ribs. He was not wrong. Sheriff McReady was in no shape to climb trees any longer and would likely have been winded going up the stairs of his own warden. The squirrel looked down at them with a disapproving glare. "Prisoners," he barked, "and strangers no less. This be a good town filled with good people. We don't need no lawbreakers here. Charges?" "Disturbing the peace," said the captain. "And starting fighting, boss," said a goon. "And quarreling, too," said another, before the captain slapped them both into silence. "Fighting mice, eh?" mused McReady, and he narrowed his beady eyes. "Travelers? Haven't seen a situation like this in ages, maybe longer." He pointed down at the party and said, "Who among you can squeak of what happened today?" Colin pushed forward and said, "We are travelers from Barksburg. Our tree is dying. We carried with us the Barksburg nut, the last great acorn of our tree. We sought the counsel of the sheriff of Headfall Hollow, known far and wide as an expert on nuts. We had hoped he might know of a similar tree to which we can move our peace-loving citizens." The sheriff smiled at this until he remembered he was supposed to be frowning. "Alas, when we arrived at this town," continued Colin, "our nut was nabbed by a diminutive scoundrel." And then technically we'd continue reading, but that will be for Chapter 2B. So I'm going to stop here for now because I think this video is long enough. We're going to have to sell all 5 of these cards for 5 cheese. Nez has 1 cheese, Jacoby has 3, Colin has 1, and Lily has 0. I believe we all heal in between these different chapters, and then, like I said before, we all get to keep the abilities that we gained from the last, from that chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough. I had so much fun. I am really excited to do Chapter 2. Let me know if you'd like to see it, although I'm going to be honest and probably say I'm just going to do it, even if you don't want to. I think it would be fun to play through this campaign. The story is good. You can see that the game, when you're actually playing it, there's not a ton of decisions. It's pretty simple. So I am planning on playing this with my son for sure. But I think the story is solid enough, and with some of those house rules, I feel like the game flows really nice. Not having to roll a die for every character's movement, super helpful. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the next stop.